Hey everyone, it's Amanda. I decided to come on and talk to you about just some stuff that I've been going through. Maybe it will reach another person out there who is wondering if their experience is normal or wondering if their struggle is something that they should feel ashamed about. I think a lot of times in the spiritual community, we talk about um, the enlightenment we receive, or the positive messages we get, or the overwhelming feelings of love that we experience. And a lot fewer people are willing to delve into the darkness, are willing to be open and transparent about the difficult parts of a spiritual path, the harrowing moments that we experience too. And maybe that seems dramatic, or maybe that seems like a dramatic word, but I think a lot of the world will numb out from their healing, or stuff it down, or try to escape it in various ways, because truly facing ourselves and our darkness is terrifying, and painful, and it takes a lot out of you. Um, so I'm going to say really clearly that, I mean, I'm going to say the last few weeks, but really, um, the last year or so of my life has been a very deep dive. And only really recently, I read the book Dark Nights of the Soul by Thomas More, and I realized, oh, this is what I've been going through as a dark night of the soul. And typically I'm a pretty positive person, optimistic, upbeat. Um, and there have been times recently where I really haven't been able to be that. Um, it's been affecting not only my mental and emotional, but my physical body. And yeah, I felt pretty awful for a lot of this. Um, I'm going to tell you there's a gift in all of it. So this isn't just oh, look at my sadness and my pain. But I also think we can't circumvent that part of the process. So in rediscovering a past life in the Civil War, I've had to vividly remember images of war and death, um, pain, fear, suffering, loss. Um, and I think what's interesting about my experience, I feel like I haven't really found anybody else who has been able to discover as many details about a past life as I have. Um, I visited my own grave. I know names and dates. I know lots of historical fact to support a lot of the visions that I've had and memories I've had. Um, and what's difficult about that is at times it can feel like, to me, that lifetime doesn't feel like it was a long time ago. Those memories feel immediate. And so then you look around and you realize all your friends and loved ones are dead. It doesn't mean I don't have loved ones in this lifetime, but it's odd to feel kind of caught between two places. And, I can't talk to anybody about the people I remember. They don't know them. They've been dead 100 years. I've been having PTSD-like symptoms where I can't sleep at night, and I'll have images, particularly the image of John in his casket when I went to his funeral, will play in my head when I get into certain triggers and fears. Um, yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle in, I will feel very low about the fact that war trauma is insidious. And it kind of makes me, not kind of, it absolutely makes me depressed that people have felt the pain of sending loved ones to war who never came back and we're still doing it. Is just mind blowing to me and depresses me and makes me feel like the world's a terrible place. Yeah, it's a feeling you have a bit of being haunted, and yeah, my physical body has been processing a lot of pain. My brain has been on fight or flight for probably months. And what I'll say about it though is even when I can't feel comforted, no matter what I try, I can't feel comforted. Um, I have seen so much kindness from so many people. Um, my experience has been validated, and yeah, I'll say that. And this is more than one time in my life when I've been in a pretty dark place. That is where I've seen most clearly the kindness and open-heartedness of other people. And so perhaps that's the gift that for those of us who try to show up for others a lot, who are healers, lovers, the people who put our hearts out on our sleeve and try our best in this world, we often get in the habit of assuming that no one else will show up for us in the same way. And so that's been a big gift. Even when I can't feel comforted, I can recognize that people are absolutely coming in to support me, and in the physical realm as well as in spirit. Every single time I have asked for help or for guidance, I have received it every single time. I'm a personal witness to that. And I feel that there is something on the other side of this experience, and some lesson that is being learned or information that I'm gaining through it. I think it's important to be where I'm at and processing what I'm processing. In some ways, I don't know that the goal is to feel better. The goal is to learn what I'm meant to learn, and I don't think I'm going to feel crappy forever. We use an interesting thing I've observed about myself is, well, number one, the difficult thing about trauma is that you can remember very clearly, in pristine detail, the trauma, but you can't always remember the positive memories. So I've been sad about the loss of that I can remember very clearly moments of pain and trauma, but I don't remember the beautiful times I shared with loved ones. And that makes me sad, that it feels like the pain is what endures. But even as I say that and think that, I realize that the pain may endure in the form of a memory, but love continues forward as a now. It's a now thing. It's not a memory that you remember. Love is something that is present always. And so it's easy to get sentimental and look back and say, oh, it was so beautiful then, and feel, sad about it or feel pain that you couldn't hold on to those people or those moments. But love is a force that defies all of that. And so even as I, mourn the fact that, well, maybe I'll never dance with John Pelham again in physical form. Maybe I'll never be able to touch him again. But I can speak with him every day and feel his love for me every day. And that's in some way more tangible and more lasting than anything else. A big part of all of this that I've been trying to sort out is the relationship that I had after John passed away. And knowing and remembering that somebody held me with such loving kindness through a very dark period, it's brought up a lot of guilt. I have felt so unworthy of that love. It's been so heartbreaking for me to realize that I was the reason why someone else was grieving. The loss of me was something that caused somebody I cared about very deeply a lot of pain. And even as I feel unworthy of that love or undeserving of somebody's kindness in that way, I realize in understanding and processing my own grief that you grieve because there was such deep love there. And so if I were to take away Blackburn's grief, I would also have to take away his love. And it would be a pretty bleak world if I did that. And that tie there, I don't believe is really quite finished. There's more to learn and experience with that relationship, that connection. But I've had to do some really deep thinking and really deep soul searching around that idea of, well, what is it to be worthy of love? And everybody is worthy of deep love. Everybody is worthy of being held by somebody else as they die. Everybody is worthy of knowing that they're not alone in this world and that they're loved and seen on a deep, deep level. Every single person. I would never look at anybody else and say, you're not worthy of that. You don't deserve that. And so then we have to go inward and say, well, what is it that makes you think that you're not worthy of that? Whoever told you you didn't deserve love? What is the part of you that feels shame? And that's, that's the personal journey. That's what the questions you ask. And why do I beat myself up for not living up to some idea of myself that I have? And is it my idea of myself or somebody else's? Is that just your ego telling you that you should be further along on the path than you are? Or, all the things that hold you back, suddenly you're like running up against the wall of all the ways that you're held back, and you have to look in the mirror and realize that it's you who's doing it. That all these blockages are myself in the way of my own growth. And so I guess I just want to say to anybody who feels like they're in that dark space and it's painful, I feel like daily for weeks now, it's been humbling to the point of on my knees asking for help every day. You feel like you're dying sometimes. But I can also recognize that process, you go deeper to deepen your compassion. You go deeper to see the truth about who you are, your darkness and your light. You go there because, and it's scary. It's scary, guys. But I think you go there because there's some gift to discover there. And if we're all just pretending like everything's fine and beautiful and putting on that false positivity all the time, we're not truly facing the core issues and the core problems about humanity. And we can't fix it if we're not looking at it. We can't shift out of negative patterns if we're not acknowledging they're there. And so I guess I share this because I want people to know that the spiritual path is not, it's not about bypassing those things that are difficult or dark. It takes a lot of bravery and courage, and like I said, I can have a lot of gratitude for the fact that I'm surrounded physically, my physical form, and also in spirit by very brave people, very brave souls. And I'm helped along the path at every step. Now, that doesn't mean that just because you're supported and protected doesn't mean that it's going to feel good all the time or that it's going to be easy all the time. But I've seen how many people seem to believe that I'm brave or strong in some way. And for some reason, I feel inclined to believe them, even when I personally don't feel brave or strong. Yeah, there's something happening right now. And we have to look at the darkness in order to shift things. Yeah, so I hope this, I guess my intention behind this was some kind of solidarity that, I've had moments where I question, well, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing if I don't feel well, or how can I guide people, or how can I give people advice or help along this path? How can I tell somebody to go on a spiritual journey if it's caused a lot of pain? And I think the answer is that our human form has trouble with the pain. But what is it doing? How is it transforming you on a level beneath that? And I am really starting to see some of the gifts in that. And learning that moment of surrender, the going to your knees and saying, I need help and I can't do this on my own, is actually an oddly freeing place to be. When I stop trying to control things is when I start to see the richness in living and loving. And so, yeah, I just wanted to put this out there for anybody else who is kind of in a dark space right now and realizing that you can be in a dark space and be just as strong as you ever are with a smile on your face. And you can do a lot of things even when you don't feel well. You can still be a light in the world when you feel dim on the inside. That doesn't affect your ability to shine, actually. So yeah, I'll continue to update as I feel guided. But I do think some of that shiny veneer needs to come off, and people need to be honest about what really being a warrior of love is, what really being on a spiritual path is. It's not promises of riches and getting everything you want, and it's not that. It can be. Those things maybe can come to you, but that's not really the end goal. It's the evolution of your spirit and who are you becoming. So keep the faith. We're going to stay solid together, and feel free to share with me if you're going through something and you just want to feel like you're not alone. Um, yes, I think that's all I'm going to say. But I wish you all the best, and see you next time.